Hi everybody, welcome back to Fabulous Autism Mommy. Today we're going to talk about tips for a productive developmental evaluation and or assessment. Into this. Tip number one, before your assessment. So tip number one before your assessment, arrange for daycare. If you have any other kiddos or siblings around, the therapist and service coordinator will need your undivided attention. And of course, if we can't have a sitter, it's not a big deal, but it'll just take a little longer to talk and to have everything done. I mean, I'm sure you're aware of the difficulties of having people over and trying to have a conversation with them if you have a lot of kiddos around. So if you can, get a sitter or drop them off at grandma's and just have the one child that is getting assessed on that day. Number two, make sure you fill out the paperwork needed to get the assessment done. And I say that because it's all on a timeline. And if they don't get the signatures that they need to get the assessment done, then it holds up the assessment. So if you get anything in the mail that says, please sign and return in order to proceed with the assessment, then please make sure you do that promptly. And if you have any questions or you're not sure where you're signing, call your service coordinator and get more information. You don't want to just sign anything and return it. You want to make sure you're signing the correct documents. So if you're ever confused or concerned, I'd call your service coordinator and find out. Tip number three, think about having others that might be able to answer questions about your child in their behavior and their daily activities. So if there's anybody else that helps you watch the kiddo, like a daycare provider or grandma, or obviously dad, you want to have dad around for the assessment. They're very helpful to answer questions. And sometimes there's just questions that you might not be able to understand because you haven't seen it yourself. So grandma might have seen the baby try to climb the stairs and you've never seen that, and that's fine. But the fact that you have somebody else giving you input and being part of this assessment is helpful. Now with that said, if you and that other person don't get along very well or have a hard time agreeing, or that other person is not very supportive, where that this person's not going to be helpful, it's going to hurt, not help, then you don't have to have anybody else around. But if you can, and you do have somebody that's very supportive and can be helpful with answering these behavioral questions or daily activity questions about your child, then please have them come along. Now, the day of the assessment. So when you schedule your assessment, schedule it at a time that your child is at their best. So for myself, I scheduled it first thing in the morning because, my son usually does really well right after breakfast. He's had sleep, breakfast, start off on the day. He hasn't had a whole day of things going on. And then later on, these strangers are coming in and want him to play with them or are asking him to do things. I felt like that first thing in the morning was best for him, but your child might be different. So the day of the assessment, try to pick a time that's good for your child. Make sure you feed them before the therapist and the service coordinator come over. Make sure you change their diaper. Make sure they're in a happy place, because if they're in a happy place, then they can really show off what their current skills are, and the service coordinator and the therapist will have a better idea of where your child is at this moment in time. Last but not least is get the business cards from all the people, all the therapists, the service coordinators, whoever you don't know or whoever's new. Get their business cards because you might have a question after the fact. The assessment time will be a lot of questions. You're going to be doing a lot of answering, and I found myself like reflecting on what happened, and I had questions, but I luckily got their contact information and I was able to reach them. So if you can, get their business cards and also ask them for a copy of the report sent to you through email if possible. You will get a copy of your report through the mail, but that of course takes a little longer than email. So if they're able to email you the report and you want to take a look at it before you have your individual family service plan, IFSP, if you want to take a look at that before you get your IFSP done, then that's the best way to go about it, is to get their email addresses and to request it right after the assessment has been done. Let them know, hey, is there any way that I can get that report emailed to me as soon as you're done with it, so I have some time to look at it? That's usually my approach. I usually, whatever assessment is being done, I just talk to the therapist and I basically say that. I say, hi, is there any way that I can get that report as soon as you're done with it? Maybe you can email it to me, or if I can pick it up from you. Like I move mountains. I do whatever I need to do to make them feel like I am willing to help. So if I need to drive somewhere to pick it up, if I need to give them a fax number, like whatever it is, I just want to copy the report as soon as I can get my hands on it so I can read it before the IFSP or IEP, whatever it is that you're working with at the moment. So yeah, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them in the description box below. The more information, the better. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today. I'll talk to you later. Bye.